Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back everybody for another YouTube video. Happy Monday guys, I hope you've had a fantastic start to your week. I know I have. In this video we're going to be going over a number of different things. We're going to be of course diving into the price on the short term, the longer term. We're going to give a health check on Bitcoin. We're going to be going over the Cardano Summit and some of the announcements. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them so far. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the Cardano Summit, whether it lived up to the hype or not. But really what I want to do to start this video off, guys, is have a talk with you. I'm noticing a lot of negativity getting thrown around the space. I'm noticing a lot of people being frustrated, annoyed, pessimistic, really kind of falling into that bearish kind of mindset. Let me just reiterate this right from the start of this video. You guys are lucky enough to be the early investors in a technology that is going to change the world. I'm not just talking about Cardano here, I'm talking about blockchain as a whole. I truly believe that, and we've done plenty of videos where we've looked at the internet and some of the companies to come out and harness the internet and how well they've done, and just to kind of show you that that was a technological revolution and you are in one today. And the cryptocurrencies that are a part of it are a kindred to some of the companies that were in the internet, and in actual fact have the scale to be larger than some of these companies, to encompass more of a market. Now, that is one thing that the Cardano Summit did exceptionally well. They showed us just how many use cases there are for Cardano. They are endless, everything from the environment to AI to this to that. This is what we're a part of. Cryptocurrencies was really the wrong word to call these blockchain technologies. It really was. I mean, cryptocurrencies, perhaps for Bitcoin, is a great coined term. But for many of these other cryptocurrencies, they're really financial or operating systems, self-governing systems. They're a lot more than just currencies. And that is really something that I wanted to drill home right from the outset of this video. You guys are lucky enough to be early investors. And I believe, forget the short term, and very contradictory, we are going to look at the short term. Look at the bigger picture here. If you had the chance to go back and invest in something like Amazon, where it was, you would absolutely have took that with hindsight. I think cryptocurrencies are on a similar trajectory, and I don't think that the short-term price action should really shake people out. One of the best strategies I believe that you can have in crypto is to buy it, hold it indefinitely until you need to pull some money out. Because in the long term, one thing that the cryptocurrency industry has shown us is that hodlers win. Now, that being said, guys, let's get into this video. Really where I want to start before we discuss the summit and our expectations and whether they were met or not, it is with the short-term time frame for Cardano. You've got some very contradictory patterns at play. There are two scenarios that are going to play out here, essentially. You're either going to come down or go up. Very contradictory and sounds rather simplistic and maybe a little bit patronizing, but that's essentially the only two options that you have. Now, we have overlaid this for you in the past. This was the previous sell-off and how you're following a very similar pattern today. Can you see this, how you have these kind of rollovers, these kind of five-wave movement. Now, Elliott wave theory doesn't just work for the downside, for the upside, it works for the downside as well. Can you see this? Within these sell-offs, you have five waves. It's kind of like Elliott wave theory flipped on its head, if you will. So that's potentially where we could be today. It doesn't have to play out. And essentially, if we do roll over here, which is a possibility, we have broken this descending resistance. We did say we broke out of this. You came back to retest it as support. This could be the setting up of a new uptrend, as what these kind of falling wedge structures are trend reversal patterns. We've gone through this on a number of occasions. Certainly when we looked at the big falling wedge that we had, we kind of pointed that out in more detail. So this is potentially what you could be looking at. And it is a very common trait that when you do break out of it, you come back to retest it before you then kind of assert that trend upwards. Certainly if it's a downward trend and you set up this falling wedge and you break out of it, then it's really a trend reversal sign. However, on the short term, and I'll drop to an hourly to make this a little bit more apparent to you, you do have a bit of a head and shoulders playing out, ladies and gents. Now, this doesn't have to play out. It's rather an unorthodox head and shoulders. It's not as textbook as something like this that we were looking at, where you kind of have this, and of course we did break the neckline here, and we absolutely sold off, spot on to our target. It's not as textbook as that, but it is there. And this would kind of give credence to the fact that you may be following, we'll switch back to the 4 hourly, this kind of a schematic where we do come down and we make that one final low before we see continuation. Both scenarios are good to me. Ultimately, we are going to jump into it in a second. I'm going to keep bringing this up until it sinks in. This Elliott wave theory structure is absolutely at play until it gets invalidated. And to date, not only has it followed it very accurately, but it hasn't been invalidated. If it was invalidated, we'd come on here and we'd tell you otherwise. We have said that in this next move, this next impulsive move that you're going to see off the back end of this pullback, you could be seeing a $5 to $6 Cardano price in this third leg within our fifth wave of this Elliott wave theory. So you need to hang on for that. Not financial advice. You guys make your own decisions. The reason I had that opening kind of chat with you is because I really don't understand what the pessimism is for, what the negativity is for. What a great time to be alive. You get to witness this grip the world in the way that I believe it's going to. You know, you guys get the opportunity to be early investors in many cases on many different cryptocurrencies earlier than these big institutions and these big kind of hedge funds and the people who you would expect to be first in. Similar thing happened with the internet and that kind of dawn. The dot-com boom was literally because they crashed the price in order to scoop it all up. They did the exact same thing with blockchain in 2017. So much going on here, but in regards to the price, this is really where you're at, guys. You have broken out of this descending resistance, you've come back, but it's been weak. But it doesn't have to be with any kind of strength. Ultimately, we need to see some kind of uptrending movement here to kind of confirm that. Otherwise, you could be looking at head and shoulders playing out, and we do get this next kind of low, which would kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 complete the kind of movement that we tend to see in markets. Could have already played out. Let's switch to the daily. And just to show you that this kind of 5-wave movement is apparent, let's take the last sell-off, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it plays out in Elliott wave theory kind of style where you're adhering to everything. Your lows are lower. They're not kind of falling short. This hasn't just played out recently. This is a very, very common trait. Can you see here, guys? For example, and I'll move this so that you can actually see it and not just my big head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see that? Before you then continue. So you could be in something like that. It's very hard to say with any kind of 100% or even 80, 90% certainty which way you're going to go in the short term. But one thing that I am very certain about is the way you're going to go in the long term. And until we see adverse information come into mind, this is the roadmap that we've got set out. And what a fantastic opportunity, guys. If this is indeed the 2-wave pullback within our 5th and final wave, that means you've got this third leg to come, and this is going to be pretty spectacular. Also, your RSI looks pretty confirming as well. There's a number of different factors. Bitcoin, it's looking a little weak. You could potentially see another rollover here. That would be fine. You are setting up as well in much the same way that you're doing it, although it's probably more apparent on the total money in crypto, the market cap of crypto. A bit of a cup and handle pattern, ladies and gents. So there's so much going on here. You know, you've just got to literally hang tight. If you believe in what you're investing in, if you've done your due diligence, you shouldn't be worried right now. It's the people, and we already know that the vast majority of Bitcoin that was sold recently was sold by people who had held it for less than 3 months. So newer people to the game. It was accumulated by whales, people that have held it for a longer duration of time. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and that's why I really made that opening statement to kind of overarch everything. You need to be patient. You need to hang in there. Ultimately, you know, there is 2 scenarios for the short term. Can you see this? You could be doing something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you come down here, and then this falling wedge kind of extends, and you get a break in a similar way to what you did over here. Or that could be the bottom. We could be seeing the trend reverse now. You could have broken out of this. You certainly have broken out of this descending resistance, but not in any kind of a spectacular manner. You've also got this kind of mini head and shoulders here. So there really is 2 scenarios that could play out. But the good news is, if you do make another low, I believe it's going to be marginal before we see that continuation. And that is one thing that I'm pretty certain of. I can't be 100% certain of anything in life, but one thing that I'm very confident and putting my money where my mouth is that we are going to see continuation in this bull run. I don't think this bull run is anything other than set to continue. I really don't. I think cryptocurrency, I mean, we're at not even $2 trillion in terms of a market cap, is going to get into the tens, and into the future, I'm talking 5-10 years down the line, potentially the hundreds. This is the new thing, and Bitcoin, one reason I own Bitcoin has nothing to do with its technology, so to speak, but what it has everything to do with is the fact that I don't trust the fiat systems. They give you a bad deal time and time again, and I'm trying to hedge my bet against that with something like Bitcoin. Gary Gensler recently came out, even though he may be kind of negative for the crypto space and regulating it as a whole. He has more loyalties to that system than he does this one, of course, even though he taught it at MIT. He essentially came out and said that Satoshi's vision was real and Bitcoin is a digital scarce asset. So there's lots of positive things as well as negative things. On to the Cardano Summit very, very quickly. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. By the way, if you're not already following me on Twitter, head over to @RealAllInCrypto. You'll get some more timely updates, like us really trying to confirm to people that this was in play. We show you things as they happen. We also tweet other interesting tweets that we see. Tech dev's really good actually at analysing the kind of macro cycle of things. So on to the Cardano Summit. Mixed reviews. I thought it was interesting. I thought it really showed us just how widespread Cardano's reach could get to. Was it overhyped? I think so. I think the partnerships that were announced, Dish Mobile, Boost Network, and I may have got those, Dish Network and Boost Mobile were significant. They are some big companies in America. Their reach, some people are saying they engulf the majority of the world. They don't. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's in the millions of customers that they have. They're also going to be gaining an indirect exposure to Cardano. It is very significant and is groundbreaking in some ways for a cryptocurrency to be doing this. They're really impacting the telecom space in a big way. We know they're already doing that with World Mobile, etc., etc. So Dish Network and Boost Mobile are really the two big announcements, the big partnerships. We also have the DGen stablecoin, and this is to be coming on Koti, which is why we saw the kind of pump for Koti, ADA Pay. That's not the DGen stablecoin, I don't think. This is another one. They're also investing heavily in their DeFi space, which we're yet to see grow. This is going to have a positive effect on the Cardano price. As once it becomes more used, basic supply and demand is we've looked at Ethereum and DeFi summer and how that affected the price of Ethereum. When the underlying network gets actually used, use cases, DeFi in ETH's example in 2020, you will see the coin appreciate as it's being used, the network's being used. And of course the Chainlink partnership, we've already spoken about this. It is good. It is really going to help the DeFi space on Cardano grow in a secure way, having this Oracle on board. But it doesn't do great things for the oracles, in my opinion, already being built on top of Cardano, because Chainlink, as somebody who invested in many oracles on Ethereum, like Band Protocol, which still could do something. I mean, they've still got a great team, etc. And IO13 and a number of others. Chainlink just completely dominated them and significantly outperformed them. And I'm expecting potentially a similar thing to take place on the Cardano network. I could be wrong. In some cases, I hope I am. I own a number of oracles on Cardano, such as Charlie 3, Ergo, etc., etc. So we'll see what happens. But it didn't really live up to the hype to me. One thing that I was very impressed with is just a demonstration of how many use cases Cardano potentially could fulfill, and just how massively it can impact the world if it sneaks into all these roles. So that's really the majority of what I had. I thought that, I don't know what I was expecting. We had mind-blowing announcements, essentially tweeted by Sydney Volmer, I think. I didn't really get any of the mind-blowing announcements. Impressive announcements is a better word for them, not mind-blowing. And of course, industry-defining announcements was another thing that was thrown around. Political public figures. For me, it just didn't quite live up to the hype. I still enjoyed it, but I think with everything in life, these things always fall short. How many times have you gone to watch a film that's been overhyped and you've gone there and it's really just a part of sales. But there was some extremely good things to come out of it, and we are going to be updating you on more of these when we took a bit of a deeper dive into them into the future. So that is really the bulk of what I have for you guys. In regards to the price, hang in there. If we're right within this Elliott wave theory, and remember, we could be wrong, but I think there's evidence to suggest that I'm right. You know, you've got your third leg to come, and this is just your two-wave pullback. It doesn't have to be done yet. Just as easily, this could have been the break. We have seen fake outs before. It is quite a common trait for you to kind of have a fake. I mean, Bitcoin did it. Where are we? Over here, this was your fake out. You know, we were kind of forming this wedge. Bitcoin faked out before kind of dumping and then go down to make marginal lower lows. But any kind of lower lows that do come, to me, will be marginal. And ultimately, I'm exceptionally excited for the future of not only Cardano, but the crypto space as a whole. Be excited, be happy, guys. That's all I have for you in this video. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Head over to my Twitter and hit the follow button for @RealAllInCrypto. And I look forward to seeing you each in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents.